So for instance, Santosh Akarchi, manufacturing engineer, grew up in India, Hindu, that's all he knew. His pancreas ruptures. He hears them call code blue. He leaves his body. He can see his body there, and this brilliant light appears. Now, this is common, that God appears as this light, and they say brighter than the sun, but not hard to look at. And Santosh said, I knew this light was divine. I knew this was God, and I knew I had to obey him, but I instantly fell in love with this light. He said, because I knew that he was there to protect me and take me somewhere safe. They travel. So now their commonality, they go through this tunnel, and they're traveling somewhere. He doesn't know where. They come to, and this is what's wild, this place where the light parks over this place that Santosh describes as a giant, enormous compound, gorgeous. Okay, if you've ever been to India, which I have many times, there are compounds everywhere. These walled communities. So I was trying to figure out, what do you mean?
Right.
Well, he's describing Revelation 21. He's describing the New Jerusalem, but he didn't know it. And so he says it had very high, beautiful walls. And he said, and this is another commonality, on the other side, you can see for miles and miles, like your vision is not limited. Which we would think, oh, well, that's not biblical, but actually it is. John in Revelation 21 is taken by the Spirit to a very high mountain, and yet he reads the names on the gates of the New Jerusalem. How?
Incredible.
Well, that's what they say. So he sees the city, and he describes it as this walled place with such beauty inside, mansions inside, and 12 gates, all of them closed to him. And they were guarded by angels, and when he saw the angels guarding the gates, he knew this is the kingdom of heaven. And he longed to get in. He said, this is what we were created for. And then he sees hell as well.
Oh, wow.
So he's up on a platform, and he looks down to his left, and he sees this, he describes it as an abyss. And darkness, and at the bottom it looked like fire. That's what he describes. He's Hindu.
He's this guy hadn't read the Bible a bunch? Like,
No, he's not read the Bible at all, but he's describing it. And he looks to his right, and there he sees, he says, the Almighty on a throne, and he knew this is God, but he was appearing now as a man, but he looked at his eyes, and they were like John described in Revelation 1, like eyes of fire, like flames of fire. He sees his whole life flash before him, all his sins, and he falls down and he says, Lord, forgive me, because he knows that's what I deserve.
How does he know it's Christ and not a Hindu God?
Yet.
Oh, he doesn't yet?
He doesn't yet. He doesn't know who he is. He just knows it's the Lord. He just knows it's God. And he's saying this, forgive me, Lord, and then the Lord speaks to him. And he said his voice was compassionate and tender and merciful. And he said, I knew I deserved this, so I didn't understand why he was so merciful and compassionate. He said, I'm going to send you back. And I want you to love your family, and especially your daughter. She needs your help right now. And think about that. The Lord knows us all. Wow. He's so intimately involved. And even if we're not involved with him, he knows us, and he's there for us. And so he sees this, and he says, and so this is what's wild. To the right of the throne, he sees an open, narrow, he calls it a very narrow gate that was open to me, and I could see into the kingdom of heaven. And the Lord said, I'm going to send you back. And he said, when I go back, Lord, if I want to come back and go through that narrow gate, how do I go through it? And he says to him, the wages of sin is death. I want honest relationship, walk with me, and surrender daily to me. And he sends him back. Now, 2 years later, Santosh's daughter is invited to sing at a church because she was a choral major. She invites Santosh and his wife to come. The message is on Jesus is the gate through which the sheep enter in, and the narrow door.
And he recognized it.
He was overwhelmed, and he starts reading the Bible, and he comes to faith in Jesus.